One question in terms of investment, does it have to be like one person investing? Can it not be like two or three combined with like, or it just have to be one person putting that 800K?
Yeah, unfortunately, there's basically only one one investment for one family. So although you can pool together different people's funds to make the investment, that one investment of $800,000 is only going to benefit one person and their immediate family. And immediate family basically just means spouse and children under 21. Great question. So yeah, you might, think, okay, well, what if me, and a friend both put in $400,000 each towards one, $800,000 investment for an EB-5? Would we both be able to get green cards? The answer is no. Your friend could gift you or loan you 400,000 or vice versa, and one of you could apply, but unfortunately, you couldn't split up the investment like that.
And one more question regarding this fund. If we have a property outside the US, let's say in our case in India, can uh, we take a loan against that property and then bring the money here for EB5 purpose? Is it
Yeah,
allowed?
it's a great question. So, just from a rule perspective, you're always allowed to take debt against an asset that you own and use it to make your EB-5 investment. That's actually one of the, if not the most popular way that people do an EB-5 investment. Maybe they purchased a property 10 years ago. Over the years, that property has appreciated, and they are now taking a loan against that property, HELOC or some other format, and then using that money to make their EB-5 investment. The problem with specifically India, since you asked, is
Mm-hmm.
that RBI has really toughened up their rules about expatriation of funds. Okay, so in India specifically, if you have a property and you take a loan against that property, you can certainly do that. But those loan agreements will basically dictate that you can't move that money outside
Oh,
the India. You can't expatriate those funds. So, although from an EB-5 perspective, it's allowed, different countries have different rules that might actually create other roadblocks. India is definitely one of them, where you would likely have to sell the property and then take those funds and then expatriate them. You wouldn't be able to get debt on the property and then move those funds to the US.
Yeah, one more question. See, if currently it's rural and high unemployment areas, it did not retrogress in the last few months, right? What if after I filing the petition, if there is a retrogression, will
Yep.
I be just getting the EAD card and wait for the green card for the longer time? Is that what I should expect?
Yeah, that's exactly right. So there's an advantage to filing while you're still current on the visa bulletin, right? And that advantage is you can still concurrently file, get your adjustment of status in, and get your EAD and advanced parole, regardless of whether the visa bulletin then retrogresses after you filed, and you filed in a current month, and then maybe the next month it retrogresses. You're still going to get your EAD and advanced parole. What it doesn't do is preclude you from still being delayed, right? So it doesn't change your long-term outlook by filing while everything is still current, but it does give you some short-term benefits, specifically that you're going to be able to get your EAD and advanced parole. And then exactly what you said, Vamsi, you're essentially going to be still delayed in getting your green card down the road. But at least in the meantime, you'll have that EAD and advanced parole and be able to work and travel and have status in the US. And I think this is a big point of context right now is a lot of folks are, bracing for layoffs and things like that. An EB-5 application, while it's still current, is a huge advantage to keep your status, okay in the United States, still be able to get your EAD and work authorization without having to worry about looking for another job in just 60 days and things like that. A lot of single asset deals can end up very over leveraged. There's just a lot of debt on those deals. A lot has to go right for then that debt to be repaid. And so you end up in a situation where you spend all the money and you're hoping for the best, right? And you're subject to a lot of market risk and things like that. With these residential deals, these master plan communities. Um, you're not spending all the money at once. You're spending the money kind of as you go. Sales slow down. Guess what? The project can slow down construction, sales speed up. They can also increase production up to some point. And so I think this is one of the ideas that we have about, what makes a project safer and things that we implement in our deals. And there's a lot of other things too, right? Is the project under construction? What happens if we don't raise the EB-5 money? Well, does that mean that the project is just completely going to, be dead in the water and they don't have any way to continue forward? Do they have all the permits and approvals that they need to continue construction? How far along is the project, right? Do they have a track record? Have people already purchased homes in that area? Is there a proof of concept, if you will? All of these are questions that you can ask about a project to see if it's better. But I don't think that necessarily, you know, all hotel deals are safer, or all hotel deals are worse, or all office buildings are worse, or all office buildings are better, or all residential is better or worse. It does depend on the deal to some extent and understanding where your money fits into that deal. The more rights and privileges you have with the EB-5 money, maybe you're the senior most lender, you have the first priority lien on all the developer's equity, you have mortgages on the property. These are all things that make the loan or the EB-5 investment a lot safer.
So just one corner thought, Ahmad. So let's say this RIA is ending in 2027, and people say that we should file before September 26.
Yeah.
So let's say if it retrogresses and the expectation may be like 2 years or 3 years. So then by the time if RIA programs ends, so how are because there is no new slots are getting released for the next year. So is there such situation arise?
Yeah, it's a great question, right? And the nice thing to understand is that the EB-5 category has 10,000 visas allocated to it for a long time. It's really just the regional center program itself that is being reauthorized every few years. The most current one is going to end in 2027. But even if the regional center program ends, there's still visas available in the EB-5 category that can be allocated. Okay. This is a big point of contention right now, and a lot of what's going on in the framework of how the EB-5 program works, but you use the correct two dates. So the program as it is today is supposed to end in September of 2027. But what protection you basically get is if you file before September of 2026, you're going to be grandfathered in. So whatever happens after September 30th, 2026, or even September 30th, 2027, let's say the program just ceases to exist, every investor that filed before September 30th, 2026 is protected, and they will still be adjudicated, and they'll still be able to get their green card. So that's kind of like the hard deadline almost.
Mm.
My best guess is that that deadline will get increased to September 30th, 2027 to match the end of the program. I honestly don't know why it's a year apart as it is right
Yeah.
now. I mean, there's a lot of different theories out there, typo, whatever. So I do think that they will actually extend it for that one more year. But as of right now, you should use September 30th, 2026 as kind of like your um, pseudo, deadline, basically.
Okay.
Ahmed, one corner case I'm thinking like if the December bulletin says it's current and but January retrogresses, right? If I file my petition before December 31st, will it be
You're
considered
good.
for adjustment? I'm good. Okay.
You're good. So that's how tight the window is going to be, right? So you find out the visa bulletin for the next month, typically about 10 to 14 days into the current month, right? So like right now we already know about November's. It's October 29th. On like November 10th to 14th, we're going to find out about December, right? So let's just say that on November 13th, we find out that December is backlogged for EB-5. You have between November 13th to November 30th to basically file your application, and you would still be considered um, current, basically, at the time of filing, even if the next day, basically, the visa bulletin now retrogresses.
And current timelines for Indian nationals, or how long is it?
I would say about 3 to 4 years. I would definitely say if you're applying from overseas, rural is the only option that really makes sense. Just the quicker you get that approval, the quicker you enter into the consular processing stage, just the faster you're even going to give yourself an opportunity to schedule an appointment and get to the US. Um, the approval is still going to happen for the petition side in that 6 to 9 month timeline. So you can still expect to know, okay, we are approved 6 to 9 months. I would say you're going to be stuck in that kind of like up to 3 year additional wait period to be able to get your green card and move to the US. So I would say if you apply today, conservatively expect about 3 to 4 years before you're going to be in the US.